pregnant pause, and we are live, gentlemen. Happy Sunday night, everybody. I'm pausing dramatically here just to make sure that I mute. Yep, there we go. Oh, I didn't mute it. There, I muted it. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible. No.
No, that is epic. That is like we're in the rave with Pete.
Oh, or having a seizure.
Yeah.
One of the other.
Warning for flashing lights if you are what is it? Is it epileptic or
Yes.
Yes. If you are epileptic, do not stare at Pete's screen.
Die, epileptics. Die.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe he just said that. I will say all of my potential epileptic customers, you can come to Death Raider in Demand, and I will cater to your needs. While Peter seems to hate you or want you to die.
Yeah. I do horror books, you know.
Rob will take all of the epileptics that Pete is setting off and triggering right now.
Exactly.
But happy Sunday night. It is summertime here. We have a special guest, Peter Gilmore, all the way from the UK. And as always, my partner in crime here, it's always reversed. Rob Hunter, and welcome everybody. Thanks for being in the chat. Looks like we got a bunch of guys in the chat already. Southern Cecilia now. I'm a little concerned about Southern Cecil. He might be making some modifications, some adjustments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's whatever Southern Cecilia is, he's nice enough to put our tags in the chat. So, and you know, I should have I didn't get your guys I didn't get you and Mandy's Jack the Ripper 2 tag in there. But like between you running it on you guys' own store and now running the second campaign on Indiegogo.
Yeah.
I as a creator who looks at his numbers, I would bet that Peter knows exactly what those two combined numbers come up to.
Well, I mean, when we ran it on the Stuntman Comics website, we didn't, like, the total there didn't include the shipping like Indiegogo does.
Yeah, I know Mandy kept the shipping off there, which always I scratch my head at, but whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, so with the shipping included and the 60,000 we raised on Stuntman and the 20,000 we've got on Indiegogo so far, we are like 4K away from 100,000.
That is damn impressive, Peter.
Nice.
For a horror book, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, you guys are at like 96,000 between the two campaigns.
Yeah.
And still in demand, and you are basically wrapping up the art on the book right now. So
yeah, all the interior art on the actual book itself is done.
Yeah.
I just got to letter it, and then I'm doing, because we've got the art book as well. The Art of Deadly Murder, is it that what it's called?
You're having an art book included with the Indiegogo campaign?
Yeah. So
nice. Okay.
So I'm just putting together pages. I mean, I've got all the artwork for that. I'm just trying to make it look nice and interesting instead of just like page after page of just art.
Oh yeah, no, I get what you're talking about.
So,
like,
some behind the scenes kind of stuff.
You want to make it look like a real, like I'm gonna post
like
a professional book.
I think Southern Cecil's been posting stuff, but I'm going to post a link there too to Jack the Ripper Vampire Hunter Book 2 in the chat there. So if you guys haven't backed it yet, but this has been two epic campaigns for you and Mandy with Jack the Ripper, and
yeah, I mean it's grown.
It's
gone how it's supposed to. I mean, the To be fair, the first book I did in Comicsgate was with that Umbrella guy,
Mm-hmm.
and we made like 140,000 on that, which is like no one does that on the first book.
Right. Tug's got a little bit of a following.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
but that was a good way to start out of the gates.
Yeah. So skipping that, put that one aside for the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, the first book me and Mandy did together made. Oh no! So yeah, the first book I did was Rocket Gal, I think. I did a cover for Walk the Wizard on Mandy's
Yeah.
very first campaign,
Okay. Yeah.
and then I did Rocket Gal and the Mole Men of Mars with Wyatt Holiday.
Yeah.
And I think we made like 13K on that,
Mm-hmm.
like that. Which, as for a first book, again, fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And then the next book we did made like 22K, and then the next book made, I think Jack the Ripper, the first Jack the Ripper made 65, and then now this one's like pushing 100. So it's things are going the way they're supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah. You're building that honest.
We
that
did have a
audience.
We did I redrew Walk the Wizard.
Oh God, I remember you talking about doing that.
Yeah. So I redrew Mandy's Walk the Wizard, and then we did a second book as well on the same campaign. We took a dip there because
Yeah.
I don't know, all ages fantasy
Yeah.
books maybe not as popular.
And plus, it's always just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward. Don't go back.
Yeah.
Don't redraw. Like
You know,
just new
drawing-
ideas.
Drawing Walk the Wizard was fantastic because I could literally, from pencils to lettered and coloured, I could do 2 pages a day.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure you could. Yeah, get through that.
Opposed to
Citizen Ronan is super excited that you're awake here, Pete.
Hey,
2 in the morning in the UK.
it doesn't happen very often.
No, and it's I appreciate you because when I'm awake at 2 in the morning, it means I drank too much and I've woken up after like being passed out for like 4
All
hours.
right. No, what happened was I ate a huge Sunday lunch, fell asleep.
Fell asleep early.
I slept all afternoon. So
there's nothing wrong with that. Well,
plus I'm on caffeine.
Oh yeah, we got a few people in chat. Let's go through the chat here. Hail Citizen Ronan, excited that you're awake. Southern Cecilia, hail Randy. Awesome you guys are here. Hail John Epple, hail everyone, he says. Marcus Kelligrew, hail man, thanks for showing up tonight. Yeah, we got a nice group in the chat here. And this is a topic Rob came up with and I thought was really a good one that we talked about a week or so ago, but it's like what really goes in to making a comic, from the outside looking in, a lot of exactly.
And I have a question. I have a question for both you guys. What do you guys like to start with first? Do you do like a character sketch, and then a description, or is it you come up with like kind of a character description story, and then you start working on the character designs? Or is it kind of
you go first? I'll let you go first, Pete.
Oh wow, thanks, man.
Yep.
Love you.
You're the guest.
It's sometimes it's weird. It can be a combination of things because sometimes I'll like think, I'll think I want to draw. I'll think what I want to draw. So like with Jack the Ripper, I was like, I want to draw like a really old school horror book,
Mm-hmm.
I want to do a little bit EC comic style, maybe desperately try and channel Bernie Wrights and that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
that going. So with that, it was like, I want to do a vampire book. Do I want to do Dracula? No, everyone's done Dracula. We've seen Dracula enough. Fuck Dracula. So I was trying to think of a different vampire or just come up one of your own or whatever. And then I remembered like back when I was a kid, it was all over the news in the UK, the Highgate vampire.
Mm.
It's, some spooky thing had been attacking women and scaring the shit out of people in Highgate in London. So I was like, yes, I'll do that guy. And then through researching that, it led me into Jack the Ripper as well. And then I just mashed the two together.
Mm-hmm.
Like that'll do. And then we've got another thing that we're going to do eventually, and that was the same thing again. It was like two different ideas that I just like shoved together. So
the idea and then the art, like then
yeah,
like
yeah,
a sketch,
yeah.
okay, like the style and all that kind of thing.
Things where the idea comes into your head, but almost
Mhm.
instantly, you're designing characters in your head, and you're like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Like with artists, always visually, like you're picturing what you want it to look like in your head before anything even hits the paper.
Now, what about you, Clint? Because
kinda,
especially Superiors, there's so many characters.
Yeah.
So
well,
how did you do that?
Each project's a little bit different. Like with Superiors, let's just say I love team books. I wanted to draw the Justice League. I got to draw the Justice League for DC. Never got to draw the Avengers, but I love the Avengers. I wanted to draw my own version of like the superhero team. So I just created my own superhero team. And so concept wise, there's the archetypes, the Captain Americas, the Supermans, the big muscle guy, the big rock guy, the witch, the sorceress, the Amazon. So with Superiors, and like this is different with each book, but with Superiors, it was definitely, I had a vision of what I wanted a super team to look like, and it was going to be reminiscent of the super teams I grew up on, however you want to call that, but it was definitely influenced. So it wasn't like I was just creating these characters completely from scratch. I had an idea of what, you look at the Avengers, you look at the Justice League, they're two very similar superhero teams. There's been other versions of the Squadron Supreme, Crime Syndicate, the Authority, those kind of, multiverse type characters. And that's kind of what I wrap the story around too, is it's like, this is my little corner of the multiverse. These are my superheroes. They might be reminiscent of something, but these are, original creations. So with the Superiors, that was always kind of the creative impetus of things, is like, I wanted to create my own version of the superhero team and do a story around that. But then other books like Pirate Queen, Blue Bombshell, Slave Girl, that wasn't the creation or the way I created those books. That was more of an idea, genre. It's like, what can I do cool in sci-fi?
Boobs.
What? Yeah, and then throw a ton of boobs at everything. Yeah. It was like a little iota of an idea, and then like, and you know what? Let's slap huge tits on her, and then we get
nice.
And Eureka, it worked. So
yeah.
Hooray!
Like, if Clint wanted to do like a Judge Dredd book, it'd be like Judge Dredd, but with boobs.
Huge tits. But that's the thing, is like
Judge Dredd.
Yeah, I create them.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Don't give Clint ideas.
Yeah, no, do not, because I will take them and run with them off. But yeah, it like a lot of the other books are like, what do I want to draw? And then let's create a story around what I want to draw as an artist.
That's kind of what I do sometimes. Yeah.
Exactly. Because it's like, why? It's like, if you come up with a really great story and it's like, oh shit, I don't want to draw like cars and horses and like tons of background.
I don't mind that. It's like, I don't want to draw cities. I don't want to draw skyscrapers over and over. All those fucking windows. No.
It's like, it's cool on one splash page, and then the rest is.
I mean, luckily though, if I come up with these things sometimes, and then Mandy comes up with things, but anything I come up with, I'm like, right, I've got this idea, and I'll show it to her, and then she'll just like make it better, totally different and better. Yeah. So it's like my stupid ideas. She knows how to make them.
With Death
palatable.
Raider, with Death Raider, where did you come with that idea, Rob?
I started with, I always like the visuals for Taskmaster for Marvel.
Oh, I love Taskmaster.
I like the cape. I always
Yeah.
like the white cape. I like the skull. And I also look at a lot of 3D modeling online and a lot of the CGI artists when they do their character designs in 3D. So I look at a ton of that type of stuff. And I just, I wanted my character to, because he's a Marsoc Marine, I wanted him, and he gets injured, he gets his legs blown up. I wanted him to be the Death Raider, to be so like kind of different from who he was. And most soldiers, you know, it's you know, they're gonna blow stuff up, they're gonna fuck shit up, but you know, it's a lot of like gunplay and a lot of, you know, you're gonna try to you if you're lucky, you're gonna shoot everybody from a distance. You're not going to be super close up. So when I started creating, starting with the skull and the cape, that's why I gave him like a style of the close contact weapons of the plasma blades, very Wolverine-ish, so that he's like all close in and he's ripping people apart because the character was ripped apart. You know, that's his kind of his origin.
But it also sounds like your military knowledge, like you've like studied this stuff, like because you say Marsoc Marine, like I should know what that is, and I don't. You know what I mean? I know what a Marine is, but like your knowledge of the military stuff seems a little bit more in depth, and that you're using that for creating this kind of world building and character building.
Well, part of it is just because they're Marsoc Marine Raiders. It's Special Forces guys. Yep. So, and when I was coming up with the name, it was originally just Raider. But if you Google Raider, it's all Tomb Raider shit, or it's the football team.
Yep.
So I knew I had to add to
differentiate.
And my wife came up with
that's another thing that's part of the creative process when you're coming up with stuff. Googling to find out what to do out there.
And then you don't want to Google a name and see that there's 4 comic books that have the same name.
Yeah.
Or you could go to a website and go, oh, I really can't do that character. There's a website.
Yeah.
I won't be able to get the website.
My very first Comicscape book I did with Mark Bolton, and we're each going to create characters. We're going to make this team book. He created Sea Dog, and I wanted to do a very like heavy 90s kind of Wildcat Cyberforce type of team book, and so I created a team called Kill Switch. And I'm like, Kill Switch, that is a great freaking name. I'm a genius. Kill Switch is an awesome name. I Googled it. It's like, Kill Switch. This book is already running on Kickstarter. There's another version of Kill Switch. And so I'm like, all right. So like Kill Switch, this name is used over and over again. And I'm like, I love that name so much. But like code name Kill Switch. There was no code name Kill Switch. And like it differentiates it, like it's not the same thing anymore. It's like this character's Kill Switch. Well, no, this is codename Kill Switch. And so like Googling the name is a very good idea when you're creating these characters to make sure that you're not going to run into some problems down the line. So like literally, you guys we're talking about creating books, creating comics for crowdfunding. And like that's literally one of the things we all do is you're creating characters, sit down and Google the names.
Yeah.
And see if somebody else has like got a comic that's like the same idea already.
Yeah, because you won't have problems with copyright if, like, for instance, one of the characters I created is Zero Kill. There's a band named Zero Kill.
Yeah.
So I can copyright him because he's a comic book character and he's not going to look like the band members. Yeah. But I can't get a trademark. Right. So if the project ever became successful enough where I need to trademark everything, and for toys and all that other stuff, I wouldn't be able to, and then that's where there's a problem. So anybody who is looking at creating a project, like Clint said, Google is like one of the most important tools, especially early on, so that you don't put a lot of energy into something and design a logo and then go, oh shit, especially because of I don't know if it's just me, but a lot of the names I come up with are heavy metal or like electronica bands already, and I'm like, oh crap. Like Killswitch. Killswitch Engage is a heavy metal band.
Yep, exactly.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you got to be careful, and Google will help you out with that.
And like with Jack the Ripper, obviously that's kind of, you guys were kind of free reign there because he's it's like,
yeah. Well, I mean,
as long as it's not a movie, right? You can the trademark.
Well, that's it. I did Google the hell out of it when you know, Jack the Ripper Vampire Hunter. Didn't find anything, but since then, obviously, you know the little haters who like to bite at our ankles and they found there was a novel by some guy called Jack the Ripper Vampire Hunter. Thankfully, ours is different and whatever.
Yeah,
it's a comic, not a novel.
Yeah, and the thing is like you'll be surprised. Like there's just I've seen like big creators talk about how there's just ideas floating out there. It's like there's a reason like Armageddon and The Core came out in the like same year, you know. Like there's just these ideas that are floating around out there, and they get developed and however it works, and like
I found out how that happens. A writer or a producer or a director goes to a studio and goes, I have this idea for a movie. And it's like, you know, so you tell them the Armageddon spiel, and you walk out and they're like, hey, that's a great idea. We'll think about it. You walk out the door and the producers or the studio guys look at each other and go, I love that idea. I hate that guy. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
So let's make our version of that movie without him, and we just have to change it. That's how Deep Impact and Armageddon were made.
Deep Impact. That's what it was. Deep Impact and Armageddon were very,
Yep.
That was like one of the best examples.
Yeah. Because they're like very similar, but completely different. Like one is Armageddon's like the MTV version.
Yeah.
And Deep Impact is like a, you know, take it very serious.
Well, there's a reason that the official title of the Superiors is you must obey your superiors. It's not just superiors. It's the whole title is you must obey your superiors.
And that's because
Mark Miller had a comic called Superior. And I had a nice talk with Mark Miller's lawyer.
Yeah, Clint got a phone call.
It's the most annoying thing though when you think you've come up with a title for something or a name for a character, and you think that's so amazing, and you Google it and you're like,
yeah, no, and it's just a kick in the balls because it's like, like this is a great title, great idea,
yeah.
And Citizen Ronan said, "Oh, you just put it up." A character called Rob Hunter. There's Rob Hunter who's in the Grateful Dead, and there's Rob Hunter who is the name of the Nitro character that he could make himself explode in Marvel.
What if there was a character? What if there was a character that was just going around hunting Robs?
Yeah.
Oh no,
Rob Hunter.
That sounds like it'd be a great cartoon. And I can't draw funny to save my life, so I'll never do it.
Anime.
And then the ultimate Rob is down into he's just trying to get the boss Rob, so Liefeld.
Yeah, go after Rob first. the big Rob.
He goes down to all the other Robs first and cuts off the feet.
Well, he's a penciler, you're an inker, so.
What? Who's that? Who's an inker?
Liefeld.
I'm an artist now.
Now you're an artist.
Now I'm an artist. I have to if I want to keep working on comic books.
Well, that's the thing. I was talking with somebody today, and it's like every inker can't be feeling strong right now because every penciler, the page rates are dipping so fast and so quickly that every penciler is like, yeah, I guess I could ink myself if it gets me into like another $150 per page. And guess what?
All the artwork.
Yep. Guess what? That's another inker out of a job. And I wouldn't be feeling comfortable if I was an inker at the big two right now.
Yeah, and then there's all the artists who say that they'll link themselves and all they're doing is drawing it on the computer.
Oh yeah, just dark.
And it's and then they add they do a few little shitty.
Go to Photoshop and like mess with the blacks and the whites. Go in there and clean up some of the stray lines. And guess what? I've got an ink page right here.
Yep. Exactly.
I'd be saying that I love penciling and then just like in Clip Studio, like up the contrast. That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Done.
well,
It's done.
that is why I am one of the reasons I'm here.
Yeah.
I am here crowdfunding because of that.
Yeah.
I went from working on super cool books to not have anything to do. So
adapt, and evolve, or become
work in a
extinct.
warehouse.
It's like there's a huge there's a huge shift coming right now in comics, and adapt and evolve, or you're going to be sitting on the sidelines. And Mark Millar has a comic called Nightclub. Aaron Lopresti has had Nightclub as a name for years. So that's the thing is, unless they really want to go after each other, like common names are kind of fair game. Like, if you want to call your character Fire, or if you want to call your character Star or something, like when it's a common name, and Nightclub is a common, well-known name, I don't know that, like, there's, and like, take this with a grain of salt. When it's the more common the name is, the harder it is to copyright it.
Yeah, I would say if it's like a common word or a common phrase.
Like you can probably copyright the idea attached to the name. Like my book Nightclub is going to be about this, so you can't like have a book that's called Nightclub and is the same thing. But if it's two different ideas,
it can be confused, isn't it? If it can be, if it could be confused for the other thing, then you're not allowed to do it.
It always depends on the crossover. Money. Is there money to fight over? Is there someone having a movie and toys? Are they going to be rolling out? Is there going to be a video game coming out?
With Mark Miller, it might be worth him to like, but unless it's like already like greenlit to go to a movie and the money's rolling in, then like you're just going to be spending money on a lawyer to get minimal results, I would say. So,
well, at this point with Mark Miller, you might want to he could just do Mark Miller's Nightclub, like that could be the title because of his name. People already know him. If they didn't know him from the comic books, they know him from the Netflix deal.
Yep.
So it's kind of it would actually be a selling point if he just put his name on the top of the title.
So we've covered kind of like coming up with the concept,
design,
covering characters, Googling like names and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, we get into writing. We're not going to like cover writing because it's like
the outline is very important. I would say that's like one of the
an outline is more important than like a fully written script. I would say, like for artists.
Because you can pace, you really can. Just as Pete was saying about page count and shrinking story count and stuff like that, an outline can help you immensely with that. Where you just go, okay, I've got an outline and it's 20 chapters and it's going to be a 120-page book. Oh, it can't be a 120-page book. It only can be a 100-page book. You can just look at your outline and go, I can either steal certain pages or I can just steal the same amount of pages from every chapter and just go from there.
And that's the thing, is kind of the old school Marvel way, the old school Stan Lee. Like Stan Lee would write a couple paragraphs and like, this is what happens in the book. Leave it to the artist to work the flow. And in a way, like as long as those two guys are in sync, letting the artist like decide panels per page, where you want a splash page, if you do want a double page spread, it's way better. Like depending on the writer, it's way better to leave that to the artist to kind of like decide that stuff, because I think we were just talking about like shrinking down a story into lesser pages, and all of a sudden you've got the dreaded 8, 9, 10 panel page, and all of a sudden you're drawing postage stamps with talking heads, and like, so for creatively, I'll let you talk about that, Pete, because you were.
Oh no, I'm not talking about that at all.
Well, it's about pacing, and writers, I think, most of them are too stuck in their head to realize, dude, you can't pace a comic book like that. It's boring as shit. But writers, when they're grinding out panel to panel, they don't think about that as like a big picture. But an artist who's going to spend a day or 2 days on a page or whatever the drawing pace is, it screams at you because you're like, holy F, I've just drawn 5 8-panel pages in a row, or nothing happened for 8 pages. It's all talking for 8 pages.
Talking heads, yeah.
But if you had the Stan Lee 2 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs to explain what's happened in the book, you'd be like, I just jumped from a action scene in a splash page to I got to explain. I need a transition. I need 2 panels or 2 pages to explain what the hell we're moving to the next sequence. So now there's talking pages. Now there's the headshots and stuff.
Yeah.
So like past Master Dan, ebb and flow, exactly, because it's a roller coaster. A roller coaster isn't just constant. There's that, especially in the beginning. There's that nice gradual, to get you the anxiety going. The potential of you're gonna drop.
And the thing with that is when a writer and artist work together longer periods of times. We remember the glory days of like having long runs, like everybody like Claremont and Byrne on X-Men. Just these writer artist teams that would do long runs. They just got like a shorthand of how to work with each other. Obviously now as things have evolved or devolved, however you want to look at it, like that doesn't happen anymore. You've got writers who just only talk to the editors, and the artist is just hired on as a hired hand, basically. Unless there's a few guys maybe, but it hurts the storytelling. You don't get that kind of natural flow or that just that vibe of the writer and the artist really being on the same page. It's like
let's be honest. I mean, us artists just know better. We're the visual storytellers. Just let the artist do what the artist does.
And I mean, and the writers want to write a novel. They always want to write a novel. They want to write talking heads. They want to have a couple of people standing there talking to each other, telling everybody what's happening, not throw a punch, not have any action. And it's like you're writing a comic book. Remember that you're writing a comic book. It's important.
I mean, luckily I don't get that with Mandy.
No,
I don't think I've ever had to draw a page with talking heads.
No.
Ever.
Like
maybe a couple of bits, but she kind of leaves it up to me, so I put other shit in there as well, so stuff's happening.
Pirate Queen is meant to be pure action. Like Pirate Queen is like the action hero in a sci-fi movie, and like Mandy, like she writes a script, hits the ground running, action starts, and it's like boom, and like that's how I want my comics to be. So, and that's the thing. That's what happens when you're working with a writer and you guys kind of get into a flow and you kind of have feel each other out for how you want to work together. And that's the nice thing of working on multiple books together. It doesn't happen much, unfortunately. Let's check out Citizen Rowan's got a question here. Oops, and I just clicked off of it, and I will click it. Do you guys thumbnail sketches to work certain things out? I train in traditional illustration where you do that for everything. I do to an extent. Like I do just and like basically thumbnails. Yeah. Like, and a lot of times I won't even just draw anything. I'll just write, there's a fight page. They're jumping to this, blah, blah, blah. Just to kind of like go off of the script and like lay out the panels. But I do a lot of it just when I'm drawing. But I do to some extent thumbnail.
No, I don't. Not at all.
No,
not at all. No. Well, I do, but just in my head,
Yeah.
I don't, because I guess when you're working at somewhere like Marvel or whatever, they kind of want to know what you're going to do.
Yeah, editors want a little preview or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas working with Mandy, it's like she just, do your thing, please.
Wants the completed pages.
What about you, Rob?
If I'm confused by a sequence, like if I'm looking at something and going, like I'll look at something and go, wait a minute, how is this action scene supposed to play out? Or I'll have an idea, like I have a really good idea for the top of the page if it's a couple people talking or a design. I will thumbnail that out. But the problem is I always like the thumbnails so much more, like they always have so much more energy than the final product, that it gets me depressed. You know what I mean? Like it never translates. And I know part of it is because when you're starting to, now you gotta like find, you gotta fix things, and you're like, oh well, the thumbnail was all just scribbles,
like loose sketches and everything.
But now you gotta work perspective, and you gotta put all the rules into the story, into the drawing. So that's when things starting to stiffen up and things of that nature. But if I have if I saw something really cool, like a Frank Miller Daredevil scene, like I just flipped through a comic, and the way he would do the top of the rooftops with Daredevil running across the rooftops. If I want to try to mimic a little bit of that, I will do a thumbnail for that, because I don't want to copy what he did, but at the same time, I want to try to get the design sense down. Before I start drawing it, and then I just end up cluttering it with a bunch of shit and realize everything that I wanted to do, I lost. Hey, look I just did a bunch of detail. Great. Awesome. It's exactly what I didn't want to do. So
there's nothing worse than like when you pencil something that looks cool as hell, and then you ink it and it's like it just loses that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It loses something.
Well, Scott Williams talked about that. Scott Williams talked about he would get these incredible splash pages during the Image days where they had all these beautiful tones in them, just because of the nature of drawing with a pencil.
Yeah. And
he said that by the time he got done inking it, and he has to flatten everything out with it's all just straight black, he would just be like, I'm complete shit. What did I do? What did I do to this beautiful page? Even though that's what he's supposed to do, because it has to be published, it has to be printed, and it's getting inked. He said sometimes he just would be like, he couldn't look at the artwork again, just because of that, the nature of the
just
way
how
the
much
eye
rendering
perceives.
the gray tones, the pencil, like the pencil, you can't ink a shaded pencil line.
No. You lose a little bit of that, though. That magic,
absolutely.
Which is why I just use the pencils now. Pencils and ink, a little bit of ink on top where it needs to be, but And
the thing is, with scanning and everything in digital now, it's like you can keep those pencil tones in the page, whereas before, 20 years ago or whatever, X-Men, Jim Lee, Scott Williams inking, it was like you needed those hard lines. Is the way the printing was set up. Like now, you could I mean, let's go with Dale. Dale does beautiful, gorgeous gray tone rendering in his pencils. You could scan those. They don't need to be inked, I don't think.
No.
And especially if you have like a digital guy go in there and just tighten and darken like certain things. Like,
or just light colors.
That's kind of what he does now.
Yeah, colorist could go off in Dale's pencils and make him gorgeous. And I don't think Dale would need to be inked. With what I've seen him doing lately is just like, it blows my mind.
Well, he does everything now. Now he's
Yeah.
doing everything. I mean, I have so many steps to my artwork in Death Raider that I usually hate it until the very end. Like I'm going, it still looks like shit. It still looks like shit. It doesn't. It looks weird. This is all fucked up. This is all fucked up. I hope I can save it in the inks, and then it's like I hope I can save it in the whiteout. You know, like
I do all that crazy detail crap, and it's like I did a thing the other day. I showed it on Twitter, like the vampire character, the witch character.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It was gorgeous, Pete.
And so I'm working on that, and it's like I know what I need to do, and I know where it needs to get to. But there's always that thing where up until maybe past 3/4 of the way through, you're still like, fuck, this is turning to shit. And I've just spent like a day and a half already drawing it. And do I scrap it? And you've got to have faith that you were right. And it's going to be good. You just got to keep the faith.
Well, it's too many processes now. Because I'll even, after I scan it, I go, I can still lighten some things.
No,
I can still hit the saturation, or I can still, I can magic wand all the gray.
Yeah,
and,
just tweak that brightness and contrast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or one gray tone. I'll just lighten one gray tone, or I'll darken one gray tone. And then 2 hours later, I'm like, what have I been doing with the with Photoshop and
that's 2 hours you could have spent on the next page.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I kind of like, and I don't know, maybe it's just because we've all been working for ourselves, really, but like, I make myself move on. I don't sit there and tinker, because there's always the next page, there's always the next book. If you start tinkering, God, it's a slippery slope, and then you're just not getting stuff done. So maybe we should talk about that a little bit, because we talked about artwork, we talked about page layout, but like getting a book done, like as a creator sitting in your room, you're your own editor. When you're crowdfunding these books, like you're the boss of your book. You're either I always, this is my saying to myself, I say it all the time, that the pages don't draw themselves. It's like, if I'm not sitting my ass in the chair plowing through pages, 48 page book, 60 page book, all these crowdfunder books, like that's a lot of pages to draw. You don't want your backers sitting there posting messages like, where the hell's my book? Like, why haven't I got my book yet? Like, that's like the worst post you can see. You want to get these books done. You want to get them sent out to backers, and you want to move on to the next project. And I pride myself on that, because like, I want to build. I want backers to know they're going to get the books from me. And they're not going to be waiting. Like, crowdfunding has a bad reputation for a lot of people that don't fulfill. So let's talk a little bit about getting the books done, getting them sent out there, and like finished product, what you're dealing with printers and shipping and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think the first thing you've got to do is you've got to set a realistic, due date for the book.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. A lot of people massively underestimate how long it's going to take, how long it takes to draw a book, you know? And it's, artists, as an artist myself, it's like, I underestimate it all the time. It's like, oh yeah, I could draw that in a day. I can do that, it'll be like, a day a page, whatever. Yeah.
No.
Bullshit, Pete.
I would say, if I'm penciling and inking finished pages, 3 pages in a week, and if I'm really like nobody's bothering me, maybe 4 in a week. That's like, that's like 12 to 14 pages a month. And for a 48 page book, I'm no mathematician, but that's a few months there.
Yeah. So, Jack the Ripper 2's just taken me November, December, January.
Yeah.
7 months.
Yeah.
Well, 6.5 months to draw.
And then like you're doing yours kind of grayscale and black and white and stuff. But
although, to be fair, that 6.5 months, that's also like the covers and all the promo art and messing around making videos and all the promotional. That's something else that you need to take into.
All that stuff is wrapped into it. Like, you're not just sitting at your desk. You gotta do some YouTube shows. You gotta talk to everybody. You gotta be on Twitter and promoting. So, but then the other thing is like colorists, letterers, like all this stuff. And it's like, they've got their own schedule. So they're not necessarily just like dropping everything for when you get them pages.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I can get you this many pages when you get those back to me, and their reply will be, well, what's your deadline? It's like, well, as fast as possible, right? And it's
what's your deadline? Tomorrow.
I'm working for 4 or 5 other people as a colorist or as a letterer, whatever. So that's the wiggle room that, like, if you're a first time creator of a book and you're hiring other pros, a professional colorist, a professional letterer, like, once you hire them, you think, oh, okay, you're going to do my stuff first. It's like, no, every one of those guys is a freelancer. They're probably working for as many people as they can possibly work for. Yeah, they're fitting you in there. Yep, they're fitting you into their schedule. If they tell you a deadline, it's probably a deadline you can count on if they're a pro, but it maybe doesn't mesh with what you thought you were going to get. So there's that. That's, I think, maybe a surprise that a lot of people that, are into doing crowdfunding now, but maybe haven't worked in comics before, and they're just like creating their own book. It's like those freelancers, they work in comics is a different way of working. It's not necessarily like this, like go to the office, turn something in and get it back as quick as you can. Like freelancers are working for multiple people, have multiple deadlines, and it doesn't mean you can't count on them, but it also means you have to kind of work within their schedule.
Yeah. I mean, luckily I've never fallen foul of that because do it all myself.
Now, Randy had a question asking about me releasing. Well, actually, what I was going to do, the plan was, instead of retweeting higher resolution of the artwork that I put in my Death Rider update, it was going to be the color version of that stuff. But I realized my colorist, the things that I liked a lot about his coloring on the splash pages he had colored and the covers he had colored, I wasn't seeing the same stuff on the interiors. So he's not coloring the book anymore. So those releases I was going to do in the last couple weeks or a few weeks with those pages, but just in color. Like, I wanted to really show a bunch of interiors coloring for people. I started messing with them myself in Photoshop, and I'm like, oh, now instead of me working on the next set of pencil and ink pages, I'm now messing with the stuff that the colorist has sent me, and now I have to tweak. So that's why I haven't actually done any new artwork update, because I was screwing around with the color files, and then I wasn't even, I wasn't messing with my own stuff.
And we've all been there, because it's like, no, seriously, it's like when you're getting in the nitty gritty of the book, and you want it to look a certain way, and you're working with different people, like, and like this is why we're talking about this, because it isn't easy, and you want the book to look a certain way, and there's dealing with this is the part I would say we're going to cover now, is dealing with a creative team. There's one thing if you can do it all yourself, but I would say there's a lot of writers that want to do their book and they want to use crowdfunding to do it. So I would aim this section more at writers when you're working with a creative team. And as artists, I think we can probably give writers some advice about what works, and then also what to watch out for.
Don't be doing that. Don't be giving writers advice when you're an artist. Don't do it. Keep your mouth shut.
I would say you got to be flexible.
Yes.
You have to be. You got to remember, you're the boss, though. Yeah. And you also, and I keep getting this. I keep getting these questions, and I keep getting emails, and people get mad at me. If you're going to be the writer and you're not going to do any of the artwork, you better come up with some money ahead of time.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but you better have the startup money, not just
I would also say this, Rob.
Yes.
Have the money ahead of time to pay your artist, but make sure your artist wants money. Like, find an artist who needs to pay his bills.
Yes.
And then pay him a percentage at a time. I would never pay an artist the whole rate up front.
No, don't.
I would go 5 pages at a time, and I would say look at his samples, have the money for your first 5 pages, and have an artist that wants to make money. Because
you got the promo artwork done
you
before
get the
you ever
promo
crowdfund.
artwork done, and then
And
while
you
the
can see
campaign's
what they
running,
really
get
can
more,
do.
get more,
Mhm.
get more of the pages from them. Don't leave them alone for too long.
No,
Like just because you got those first 5 promo pages for your campaign going, don't like leave your artist like not turning in stuff while you're running the campaign.
yeah.
And
Make
like,
sure he can draw more than just Wolverine standing in the cool coat.
yeah,
Like you got to make
Mhm.
sure your guy can actually storytell, and
yeah,
he wants to storytell. That he understands he has to draw backgrounds.
yeah. And that's what
Because-
those if you don't see that in the first 5 pages, you're not going to see it in the rest of the book. So those first 5 pages
Yeah.
have got to show you all the stuff you're looking for. But then
In fact-
always be dangling that carrot in front of them. That's why I like an artist that wants to make money, because all of a sudden,
Yeah.
you know, somebody's like, "Oh, I paid off this," and then all of a sudden they disappear, and you need that artist for the rest of your book. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
in fact, you can tailor those first 5 pages. They don't have to be the first 5 pages of the book.
No, it could be any
exactly.
five.
You can
yeah.
specifically pick exciting pages and pages that test your penciler
Yep,
or your artist or your
yep,
colors,
absolutely.
whoever you're trying to test, so that you like everything that's gonna all the dynamic elements that you're gonna see in the project. You know, those 5 pages might be a great example of all the different elements that they have to draw or color or whatever. Because you don't want to be surprised, like, oh my god, this guy's great at talking
Yeah.
heads,
Yeah,
and he can't foreshorten to save his life.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
It's better for your campaign page as well to have a good example of like all the elements of the book.
Yes.
I mean, some people will be just like, all right, here's the first 5 pages to put on the campaign. But you know, we want to see all the elements of the book rather
Yes.
than just
This is kind of a good question. So, is it easier for an artist to crowdfund? How many artists out there are hiring out to writers in reverse?
I think we
I think
almost answered that, right?
it's kind of a little mix of both. I think
Yeah.
it depends on the artist, because if the artist has a concept that he wants to develop, then he can kind of do a lot. Like for crowdfunding, if you're an artist and you've got some concepts and ideas, story ideas that you want to develop, it's way easier for you to do it on your own. Now, if you're a writer, you need that artist to like create and develop the book. But there are a lot of artists out there that just want to be hired on and do the job.
Draw what's written. Yeah,
yep, draw what's written. I've seen some really good artists out there doing some crowdfunded books that are like, and some of them are South American artists, but they're good artists.
Yeah,
you know, good South American artists out there. And with crowdfunding, there's good page rates to be had, and they're competitive with Marvel and DC right now. Like there are good artists out there that have probably done Marvel and DC work that can't get work right now at the page rate that they were getting 5-6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you're a crowdfunder and you have a following or you've got a YouTube channel or something, you can probably pay competitive or way better rates than Marvel and DC are thrown out there. So I would say it's a little bit of both columns right there.
Well, I think part of the question is it really does becomes it's money and funding, because I personally sold anything that I really had of value that I could sell before I ever started Death Raider, so that I had money to still be able to pay my bills.
That second kidney's gone?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We got one kidney left. So if you're set up like that.
Oh, did you pause? I think Rob might have paused. You there, Pete?
Unless he's deeply thinking about it.
Yeah, he's really thinking hard about that. Oh, you're back.
Oh, did I freeze up? I'm back.
No,
okay.
You're back. You're back now.
Right. So, if the artist is living in his basement, then he can just draw a bunch of cool stuff for crowdfunding. But usually an artist has bills that are due every month anyways. So he has to be able to, like, if you're drawing for your crowdfunder, whether it's, 12 pages or 50 pages or, 4 pages of cool stuff, you have to be able to do that instead of working for somebody so you can pay your bills. So it's the same thing with a writer. Like, the writer has to pay someone to draw those initial crowdfunding promo artwork or just the first 5 pages, or like we just said, the first really 5 cool, page sequence or whatever the hell it is. Anybody that's good enough that we're all going to be excited about the book, most likely could be getting work from other avenues. So you got to have that money. You got to have money up front, whether you're an artist to cover you or a writer to hire your art team initially. And I would say a lot of people don't think that. All the emails that I've got from guys, they think that they're writers and they've got these great ideas, and they think dude, I still get emails, especially off of LinkedIn, like, hey, I'd really like you to work on this project. And my first question back to them is, what's your budget?
Yeah.
Because that way that will filter. And when I get these weird answers back, I go, oh, you have no budget. I can't work with someone who has no budget, because
the number of messages and emails.
Let's hear some of that Pete's horror stories.
Oh, here we go. If you put his hands up to his eye.
It's just so they'll hit you up, and my first question is always, what's the book about? Tell me what the book's about. I need to know what the book's about, because don't come to me with a spandex wearing superhero book, because that's not me. I could draw it for you, but you're better off getting someone like Clint or whoever, not me. So that's always the first one, and invariably it's something weird. It's nothing that I would ever draw in a million years. Then it comes to, they'll be like, what's your page rate? And I'm like, well, it depends what you want me to draw. If you want me to draw Jack the Ripper Vampire Hunter, that kind of stuff, then it's this amount. And they're usually like, faint. It's like, well, and trying to explain, they're like, oh, that's really extortionate. That's too much. And I'm like, well, you don't need a colorist. You don't need a letterer. Don't need any of that. It's just me. I do it all. I will give you print ready pages, Yeah. There's that. And also, drawing stuff like that takes 4 fucking days a page sometimes. I mean, 2 to 4 days a page to draw that kind of stuff. So you've got to think, how much would you want to, no matter what job you're doing, how much do you want for a day's work, So double that. That's a fair, even at a minimum wage, even if your job is, filling, packing groceries or whatever, you still want a decent, something you can live on, basic.
Yeah.
So
I once told the guy, because they were really being shitty to me about my rate, and I said, well, I'll just charge you what you make a day. That way it's nice and even. And he said, well, I am on salary and this is what I make a year. And I go, okay, well, we'll divide that out and I'll charge you that a day. And he goes, I can't pay you that. And I'm like, why? You're not paying me health insurance. You're not contributing to a 401k. This is straight the lowest wage you could pay me, because that's what you make a day.
Yeah.
And the guy just, I never heard from him
again. Yeah, it's like, I mean, over here, I don't know what it's like there. We have like the minimum wage employers are allowed to charge.
They have that here, and it's a joke.
Yeah, I mean, it's a joke, but if you take that amount, say, I mean, it takes me, I do 2 days drawing a page, and they're like 16-hour days, 12, 16-hour days, yeah? So times that hourly pay rate, the minimum page rate, the minimum, per hour, whatever, times that by the amount of hours I've just taken to draw that page,
Yeah.
It's like, and no one can pay that.
Marvel has 2 ink rates. They have $100 a page and $135 a page. $135 a page is for inks, if it's like DX stuff or a Spider-Man thing.
Yeah.
And at $100 a page, that's the lower tier books that they already know will be canceled in 4 issues or whatever.
Oh yeah.
At $100 a page, and if it takes me 8 to 10 hours to ink a page, I'm like, I might as well just go to Walmart and be a greeter.
Yeah.
And I'll actually I might not get health insurance, but I'll get more than just a straight, minimum wage from Walmart. you know.
Yeah, people don't get it. People don't.
No.
I don't know
Marvel-
why. Maybe it's just, you're just an artist. You just sat around doodling crap. It's like, fuck you.
You know, and this is why we're talking about all this, because there's a lot more that goes into it.
To create a comic.
Yep. To make a comic, there's a lot more that goes into it than just being like, I've got an idea. I got one guy to draw me a pinup that looks really cool, and I'm going to do a crowdfunder. Now, if your crowdfunder can raise an assload of money, that's fine. But most, just right out of the gates, you need more than that. And that's kind of why we're going over all of this, is like everything that goes into. So we've talked about the creative team. We've talked about what goes into like drawing all these pages. We've talked about page rates for your, creative team, and like reliable or unreliable people on your team.
Finding a team.
So you've crowdfunded your book. You've raised enough money to pay for your book. You've got your creative team. You've drawn the pages. Now what? Well, this like literally, we've covered the easy stuff so far. As much as we've been bitching and moaning right now, we've covered all the easy, fun stuff. All the drawing, all the writing, all the creating characters, the biff, bam, pow, punch.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get to the part that trips up almost, I would say, 75-80% of crowdfunders.
Mm-hmm.
Printing and shipping. Printing, not so much. Printing, the last few years, printing has gotten so much better. There are so many good printers out there that all you need to Google, just Google search, and you'll find good printers. But shipping is what trips up most crowdfunding projects. It's why most crowdfunding projects are a year late or 2 years late. I mean, sometimes it's how long it takes the creative team to get the book done, but I would say it's a 50-50 coin toss of just people not being prepared to ship these books out, and like never having done anything like that before. And it's not impossible, but it's not something that a lot of people are ready for when it happens. So I think I'll talk a little bit about shipping. Just because, like Pete, you're in the UK, so you're not doing the shipping for yours. But I'll talk about I'll talk about shipping right now.
Clint's the only one who can talk about shipping.
I'll talk about shipping right now. The best thing that ever happened to me, I started crowdfunding over 10 years ago. Indiegogo didn't even exist. Comicsgate was not a thing. I discovered like a few pros were like running books on Kickstarter and crowdfunding. I was like, what the hell is crowdfunding? This was literally like 2009, 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. And I was like, oh, wow, they're raising money to do their own books. And I was like holy shit. Yep. I'm a comic book artist. I've got my own characters. I can write my own stuff. I'm like, this is awesome. So I just dove in head first. And the best thing that ever happened to me was my first project failed. Like, I had no freaking clue what I was doing. This is literally what I did. I offered rewards that were the first 4 issues of the book, and I offered rewards that were a trade paperback of all 4 issues of the book. So that would have been 22, 44, 88, like a 90-page book that I had not drawn 1 page of yet. And that was and I was not just like doing one version of the other. I was offering both, so you could get individual issues or the trade paperback and all this stuff. And I missed my goal by like $2,000, and it was the best thing that ever happened. Because then I went and I sat, and this is what I would say to anybody who's thinking about crowdfunding and you haven't before. Go study all the crowdfunders that have been successful. Like not even just like big name guys. Like,
Yeah.
go find somebody that raised $20,000 for their 48-page comic book that you have never heard before. Like, go look at the
Yeah.
reward tiers.
I would say, well, while you're talking about that, I would say, sure, look at the bigger guys, bigger company, but don't try and emulate them.
No.
Whatever you do,
Yep.
do not try and emulate what Ethan's doing or what
No.
John Malin's doing.
Yep.
Or you want to be looking at people like Clint, like maybe not us anymore because we've jumped to that. Mind you, so you're getting up there, you know.
But like,
look at the guys,
like a reasonable level. Like you're not.
Look at the guys who are making
the
10K, 7K, 10K, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And try and emulate what they are doing to do that. Don't
look at the reward tiers. Look at how they set up the reward tiers. I tell this to anybody who listens. I don't think add-ons are a good idea. I understand that I understand if you give people add-ons, it's more flexibility and they can pick this, that, and the other. But this gets back to shipping. Like the nightmare that will be shipping. If you just create your reward tiers and have them locked in, and this is what you get at this level, it's going to make shipping so much easier and better, and you're going to get your books out to your backers faster, and they're going to be happy that they got their books and weren't waiting around this extra time. So take it with a grain of salt, but that is my advice to a lot of people is just have your reward tiers, have them locked in, keep them simplified, build just have like at the top of the reward tier is the book, and then each reward tier down you add stuff. You maybe add prints, you add cards, you add a variant cover, you have both variant covers. Yep. And just
I would say, your first time out. Keep it as simple as possible. Really, don't. I mean, if you have to, then do trading cards and prints, stuff like that. Stuff that's easy to get done. Don't be doing cigarette lighters.
No, don't.
Helicopters and
think about
whatever.
Think about rewards.
Wait, are you guys talking to me? Yeah. I feel like you're specifically talking to me.
No. And
because I have watches and everything else.
No, not at all, not at all. But think about everything that can fit in a Gemini box, because you don't have to.
No, I thought about that.
Yep, you want everything to fit in that Gemini mailer in one package, and you get everything out. So flat, prints, trading cards, prints and trading cards. The printer, they're easy to do. It'll be a good reward. It's like fun. Everybody loves trading cards. Everybody loves a print of the characters. So those are great reward tiers to have.
Don't do 3-foot high posters that you got to send out in a tube.
And
don't do that
on your first campaign. Don't do like the roller pin thing. And I'm gonna send out this giant poster, and like your shipping. Your shipping is going to destroy your profits.
It's all great ideas, and it's great to have merch and whatever and that kind of stuff. But as I'm sure Clint will tell you, because he's fulfilled books, it's going to be a nightmare. Plus, shipping is going to crucify you.
And that's the thing, is you can have a successful campaign, and then you put out all these, like, not foolish, but like difficult reward tiers, and shipping will destroy your profit. Like you'll think, oh, I've had a successful campaign, and then you'll sit there for the next 2 to 3 months shipping all this stuff out, and you'll be like, oh, there's that money gone, there's that money gone, there's that money gone, and all of a sudden your successful campaign is stretching to break even.
Yeah, so
shipping, like literally you can go to the post office. You can take a Gemini mailer. Most of us have back books. You got like a Gemini mailer that got shipped to you. Like go in there, put like some comics in there, and like they'll tell you like this is what this shipping is going to cost ahead of time. And like look at the number.
You can also weigh. You can do that all online. You can a digital scale, and you can weigh everything out, and you can 2 books, 3 books, 4 books, 1 book. How much does it weigh?
This is my mail weight scanner thing
Clint,
right here.
Do you have the postage printer that does it by heat? like Jimmy?
No, Jimmy's
I'm gonna
fancy.
get one of those.
Jimmy's fancy, but I've got
Jimmy's fancy.
I've got just like an old Canon scanner printer right here. You can go by the sheets. Each page is 8.5 by 11. You run them through there. You get 2 prints each time. You get your account on what is it, USPS or stamps.com, any of those things. And that was a life changer for me. Like literally early on, like 10 years ago when I was doing crowdfunders, I would handwrite everything, every backer. I would handwrite my address, and then I would go to the post office with a box of like 40 envelopes, and I would sit there, and there'd be a line of 10, 15 people behind me, and just I could just feel the anxiety crawling up my neck, and there would be like foreign backers in there, and like the person working in the post office would be typing, and like I would see them get to the foreign backers, and then just be like, you could just like see beads of sweat. You could hear like the old ladies grumble behind you. It was like such an anxiety. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. It's so much better now. Stamps.com, shipping can be easy if you make it easy for yourself, but there are definitely things you want to avoid if you're running a campaign. And I would say, first campaign, shoot small, keep it simple. Don't have add-ons. If you make $5,000, you get to print your own comic with your name on it, and then you build from there. Keep it as simple as possible. So, are you guys going to stick with USPS for international shipping? There are better options.
No, I've already had a couple of people tell me there's
better than USPS for. We'll have to talk about that because I could use. I don't care about reliable. I care about the pricing. those overseas shipping, man. Ugh, boy, that thing's.
Finally got cash grab. You
know, yeah, me too. I got my cash.
Yeah. That turned up. I got the books.
I think we can mostly thank the Diaz brothers for that.
Yeah, that came by FedEx. So
yeah. The Diaz brothers have got their shit together, man. Those guys know what they're doing, man. And I think they kind of, I don't know what deal they worked out, but they definitely saved Cecil's ass there.
To be honest, I'm kind of disappointed I got it.
No, I know. I love seeing the post that I never thought I would get that.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I haven't read it yet though.
No, he was. If it was a scam, he was running a great scam because people were backing it, expecting to never get it. So, yeah. And I mean, part of the whole thing was his shtick about like, I'm never going to put this book out. So, comedy wise, it was hilarious.
I do like how in the back of the book it says "Coming soon, cash grab 2." I was like, yeah. Okay.
But realistically, compared to a lot of crowdfunders, I think he was under 3 years to get it out. I think it was between 2.5, 3 years. Hey, I've got a Rob Liefeld book that I backed.
Oh,
like I backed one of Rob's. I don't know if it was. He had one, and he said he was giving refunds and stuff. I've still never gotten that book. That's at least 5 years ago.
And I never understand that from millionaires when millionaires won't refund people.
Here's the thing is some of the pros get into this and they think it's going to be easy money. And then when they find out that they have to do everything themselves, they wash their hands of it and just walk away because they're used to editors. They're used to having flunkies deal with like, I can count on 2 hands the number of pros out there who've just washed their hands of campaigns that they made nice chunks of money on and never delivered. And like big name pros, not like just some there's guys out there that are like big name Marvel and DC creators who've just walked away when they realized that they had to deal with the shit themselves. And it's a mess, but that's kind of why, you know, we're talking about all this, because it is absolutely doable. But go in with a plan.
I hope we're not putting people off.
You can crowdfund your own comic. You can do it. You can do it if you're smart about it. You can do it easily. Like I should write a book about how to, you know, here's step 1, here's step 2, step 3, step 4. But you can crowdfund your own book easily and bring in a decent amount of money. You're not going to get rich, but like, who doesn't want like $10,000 to like do their own comic book, or $20,000 to do their own comic book? Yeah. And it's a very, very easily attainable, reasonable thing, and the numbers are not crazy to hit. But there are definitely mistakes you can avoid that will make it yourself more successful. It's kind of what we're talking about all this here, to try and help people that kind of have that dream, that want to do their own comic book. And hopefully, you know, some of this advice we're giving you, like, will, you know, kind of work for you.
Alpha Suma has a comment. That's how they became millionaires. And I wish I could disagree with Alpha, but it's true. I've heard multiple businessmen say that if they're dealing with a company that they know they're in trouble, that the company's in trouble, and they owe them money, they will purposely not pay them money owed, because they know the company will go into bankruptcy. And if they have to pay anything, it'll be pennies on the dollar. Even though they admit they owed like $1.5 million to a company. They're just like, oh, why would I give that to them? They're going to go under anyways.
Yeah. I'm just saving myself money then. Yeah.
And you're just like, but dude, they did the services and you owe them the money. And they're just like, it's business. Burn. You're like, what the hell? So
comics can be easy, and that's what this show is all about. Comics can be easy if you, it's still a job. It's still work involved in it. Yep. But there's an easy way. There's an easy way to do it, and there's a way that you'll just shoot yourself in the foot and like be stressed out about it. And we've all been through this a couple of times. So if we can give advice to people
if people aren't sure about something, if you're not sure about something, ask someone.
Yeah.
Especially in comic, you'll get an answer. You'll get answers.
Yeah. Comicsgate creators are on Twitter constantly, and they like ask any, like, not everybody will get back to you, but a lot of them will get back to you, and they don't mind giving advice about things that they've done already and like can help you with that advice. Certainly.
Just don't ask questions you can Google. That's the only thing that frustrates me, is when someone's asking me questions that they literally could have Googled. And for some reason, they think I'm customer service for the comic book industry. Like, like, how do you start a comic book? And I'm like, are you seriously emailing me, asking me how to start a comic book? Yeah. Sure, I'll tell you, but I'll charge you.
I've had that a few times. Messages like, how do I make a comic? I'm like, I almost consider replying and then just no.
You know, Rob probably is too busy, Marcus. He's too busy being Rob Liefeld now.
Yeah.
You would be surprised at the production deals that he had. He had a production deal with Tom Cruise. He had a production deal with Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Like, while we think he's not even drawing a comic book anymore. How long has it been since he drew a comic book? He's not drawing a comic book because everything else is paying him so much more money to just be Rob Liefeld, the Deadpool guy. The guy
comics is chump change. Comics is chump change for Rob. Rob's in the movie making business.
Yeah, he's got lots of friends in the industry.
I think when he got his opportunity to talk to some of the bigwigs, like, he made the most of it and kept those connections.
Yes.
Like, when you see Rob posting about Hollywood movies coming out and how they did, and then you'll see him, he'll name drop a little bit. It'll be like the executive producer on a movie or something. Because you know what? Rob probably went out to dinner or lunch with them and like hung out with them. And
he's never negative about a movie, no matter how shitty it is. Probably because he had a buddy who worked on that movie.
Yep.
Unless it's someone that's
Rob
crossed
is
him or pissed him off, and then he'll lay into
Oh
him.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Rob is no dummy. Rob's out there doing Rob moves, and yeah, he's doing all right for himself, whether he's drawing comics or not. So
Like I got
So
all
it's-
excited when he followed me back on Instagram. I was happy.
Oh,
Trouble is,
yeah.
I don't really use Instagram, so it's like, follow me on Twitter instead.
I was excited when I ran into Rob at a con, and then he remembered that I had worked for him. And I mean, it was like a decade later, but he remembered me. He remembered me from Chicago Con and hired me, and I got to draw Youngblood. It wasn't
Nice.
very, it was just a few pages, but
I never gotten to work with him. I never got to work with him.
you know,
Well, he
and,
can't afford me.
yeah.
And he introduced himself to me at Tampa Comic Con one year, so that made me all smiley
okay.
for like.
No, Rob's a high energy guy, but he's a different dude. Like,
Yeah.
like he's got a different kind of energy going, and it works for him. It works for him.
It's called big money energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Big money
yeah.
energy. Charging
Called
$80 to sign a table.
Stress. No life stress is energy.
So Alpha Suma here, how do you keep people excited and engaged if you have a potential series that may have a lot of time between release issues? Star Wars had toys, video game, and I mean, I
That's YouTube,
don't know,
right?
yeah,
YouTube.
I don't know that you can keep people engaged because there's just so much stuff. But it's when you're going to get the launch. Well, here's and this we didn't cover this mailing list. List.
Yeah.
I would say a mailing list is super important for the launch of your book. I would say you want to do it at least 2 months before you're going to launch your campaign. You're going to want some artwork. You're going to want like the video, but you're going to want to splash it all over social media. Tag people in that you think will like retweet it. Try and get your friends on Twitter to retweet it. But you want to get the word out there on your project, and you want to get people to sign up on that mailing list with their emails. Because then when you launch, then you can like hit everybody and you can build that excitement. Mailing list, I think, has become a very crucial component to crowdfunding.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because that's going to grow as you grow, as your company grows, as your books get more popular. That mailing list is going to get bigger and bigger and more important. You know, and plus, not everyone's on social media or on your particular social media platform of choice. You know, so that mailing list is crucial.
Yep, and that mailing list, and as you do more campaigns, that mailing list is a list of people that have backed your last campaign. They got the book from you. They know you're reliable. And the thing that's a huge thing with backers is they've gotten the book from you. They know you're going to fulfill, and you build that. Not only do they like your product that you're putting out, but they have confidence in that you can get the book to them. And that just builds that customer loyalty. And they want to back your next book because they want to see what you're going to do next. So mailing list, I think, is a critical part of keeping those fans invested and then like building up to that launch. So that, because that opening weekend is, and then we didn't touch on this. That opening weekend is at least half your launch. Like having everybody excited for that book to come out. It's maybe not half your backers, but it's a big chunk of your backers you're going to get that opening weekend. So you want to make it an event. If you can get on a YouTube channel that's got a bigger audience, or build your own channel so that you got that audience, that's a crucial thing. But yeah, when you launch your book, you want to try and make it as big an event as possible so that people are really excited about the book when it comes out.
To be honest, I'm not surprised that some CGers haven't combined mailing lists yet. To be honest.
No.
Well, I wouldn't say they all haven't.
Oh, okay.
It just depends. I think it just depends on who your buddies with.
I would say, I mean, CG can be a strange place. So people will sign up for a mailing list, but they might not necessarily be too happy with you sharing that with some other creator.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
You know?
Yes.
People can get really pissed about that.
Yeah.
Well, you would have to do like a combo. Like if it was 3 creators,
You'd have to say
the mailing list. When the mailing list came out, it would have all 3 creators' projects, almost like it was a studio mailing list.
Yeah.
Release.
But yeah,
So then
you
you
right,
see the guy
like,
that you follow, his stuff is in the newsletter, along with the other 2.
Like I've seen people go nuts about, when someone's come time to fulfill a book, if they use a fulfillment company or someone else helps them fulfill. I've seen people go nuts about that. Like, I gave you my backer info
to be signed.
Because it's going out to some fulfillment.
Oh, I already promised I'm licking every cover, so I already know I have to fulfill it myself.
There's Rob DNA on every stamp.
Yeah. I was going to say
I'm going to lick every cover as I
another
put it
thing
in
to keep
the
people
box.
engaged in between books is just do your next book straight away.
Yeah.
So there's no constantly, finish one book, straight into the
move
next
on to the next.
Constantly release another sign up page.
Yeah.
You're working on one book, put out a sign up for the next book.
What I do, because we're on this is like the one I've just finished, like my 7th, I think, 7th or 8th crowdfunder. Anyway, yeah. So when I'm getting towards the end of drawing one book, I'll start working on those, the pages that are going on the campaign for the next thing. I'll start working on that. So we're ready to slide into the next thing straight away.
Nice.
It's like I've got at the moment, I've got I think maybe 3 projects, and I've got 10 pages done from each one.
Nice. I have to keep telling myself, don't start drawing artwork for my next project, even though I'm excited for that. I gotta finish what's in front of me first.
Next thing.
I'm like, oh, I could just do like a couple of images for a sign up page, just so the sign up page could be on, it could be up there for like 6 months, and then I fulfill on Death Rider, and then people are already like, hey man, I signed up for blah blah blah, but I'm like, don't do that, don't, this is my first project.
No matter what, whatever project I'm working on can be it can be as awesome as, but I still hit that thing where it's like, wake up the next day and, oh God, I've got another page of this goddamn book. Even if it's the best book in the world, you still get that thing.
At the end, they're like those last few pages, it's like, I just want to be fucking done with this project. You can be as excited as you in the world at the beginning. At those last few pages, it's like, oh, I can't wait to have this done and move on to the next thing.
Getting a few bits and pieces for the next project done at that tail end of a project, starting little bits on the next one. That when I wake up and face the page and I'm like, ugh, then I'll just do the other thing and go, yeah. It just stops me getting to the point where the final page of the book takes me a week to draw because I'm just like,
you've been staring at it and working on other things.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk about Fund My Comics. We got a question here. Isn't Fund My Comics the proposed safety net from Indiegogo? Hey, we all hope so. I think every Comicsgate creator is excited about Fund My Comics and wants to see it work. It's still in the early stages, but everything I've seen them talk about sounds terrific, looks terrific, and early stages are always you're figuring stuff out and working out the kinks, and that kind of seems like what they're doing right now. I'm already thinking about ways that I can use Fund My Comics, hopefully maybe even this year. I was on John Malin's channel just a couple weeks back, and John was super excited about Fund My Comics, and he was talking about maybe doing something within the next year or 2 years.
How did he feel about Kickstarter? Don't.
But no,
John.
Yeah, I think a lot of us in Comicsgate are super excited about the prospect of Fund My Comics, really want to see it work, and are figuring out ways where we can do a project and kind of test the waters and maybe not just dive in right away, but I think there's a bright future for Fund My Comics, and I think a lot of comics creators want to see it succeed. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to put Death Raider on Fund My Comic.
Yep.
But I'm also working on 10 pages of Death Raider artwork all at the same time. So I don't want to take time away from the pages to start building the campaign on the Fund My Comic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, because I see the mostly writers, they can multitask and have a lot of different things going on at once. But when we're the artists and we start doing that stuff, that literally, then you can start counting the minutes and hours. We're actually not working on the pages because we're working on, some kind of campaign or whatever. So that can be super dangerous, and it can, not be as productive as everybody expects, I would say.
Yeah, I always feel terrible if I've not got the amount of pages done in a week that or the amount of work done. I feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing is, and maybe we haven't talked about it, is you're your own boss. You're the one that's running the schedule. And like I said earlier, the thing I always say to myself is that the pages don't draw themselves. That all that means is like either I'm getting work done or it's not getting done.
It's not getting done. Yeah,
exactly. So being your own boss for the first time, like if I worked as a freelancer for a long time, so I'm kind of used to it. But like if you're like a writer or you're an artist, but you haven't like done a lot of stuff yet, and then you get in this crowdfunding and you get the money to back your book, guess what? You got to sit down and you got to do all that work.
I think that also goes to kind of, if you're a writer looking for an artist, make sure you find not just someone you can afford. You've got to find someone that digs the project, that likes the project.
That's got a little bit of themselves in it.
Yeah, because you want them to be passionate enough to get the goddamn pages drawn.
Yeah, exactly.
And not like, oh well, I won't do any today. Because if they don't care.
Yeah, that's the problem, especially if you work with someone who hasn't worked in the industry for a while. Like even if I don't specifically work on a specific page, I make sure that I'm always busy with the comic book, the project. Maybe I haven't picked up a pencil or a brush in 6 hours, but I'm still working on all the other stuff.
There's always stuff to like. There's always stuff you can be doing to like.
Yeah, you don't want someone who is not productive that way, where they just like, they've done 6 sample pages, and now they have a book that they're trying to work on with you.
Yeah. I mean, I do get offered bits and pieces here and there, and I could take it on. It's a job. It's money. But if I'm not going to be passionate about it or really interested in it, I do say no to people. I'm like, that's not my thing. That's not my jam. I don't.
Yeah. Well,
I could do it. I could draw it and it'd be fine. But,
so we've been telling you all, like what Pete's just talking about right now. We've been telling you all the bad things, all the things to worry about, all the things to avoid. But here's the great thing about crowdfunding is if you're a creator and you've got those creative energies, like Pete was just talking about, he could take on these little bits and pieces work, and like it's a paycheck and you get that. And like I worked as a freelancer, I took jobs like that every chance I could get. I don't take those jobs anymore.
No,
I barely do commissions anymore. You know what I do? I work on my own books. I work on my crowdfunders. I work on books that I'm excited about. Like I don't draw stuff that I don't love.
Yeah, I turn down commissions which sounds really stupid, but I do if it's something that I'm not interested in or.
Why spend the time? Like
I'm not the man you come to draw Spider-Man for you. Yeah. Trust me. Put it that way. But if you want me to draw Frankenstein or Cthulhu or whatever, or a hot naked chick, whatever.
Well,
I'm your man.
Isn't the idea of comic books also? It's something that can in theory, it can make you money even if your arm's broken.
Yeah.
Versus being the guy who, because we know a lot of professionals who don't even draw interiors anymore. They draw covers for the big two, and then they do lots of commissions.
Yeah.
But as soon as you're done with the commission, you get paid ahead. You're done with the commission, and then you got to start the next commission, and that's all. Like it's you only are getting paid as you work.
Yeah, they're still just churning out. They're cog in the machine. Yeah.
Yeah. Versus if you end up with like 10 to 12 different comic book projects that you crowdfunded, that you've done on Crowdfunder, not only do you have 10 or 12 properties and comic books that you can re-solicit or package up, it's all stuff that you could do with a broken arm. Versus, you broke your arm and you can't work for the next 6 weeks.
It's all stuff that I'm enthusiastic about. It's just like I'm drawing the stuff that I enjoy, that I want to work on, and that I've built a fan base around. So
wait. We're supposed to enjoy? We're supposed to pick projects that we enjoy drawing? Why am I drawing all this robot and technical shit?
That's a good choice, Rob.
That wasn't my choice. It
looks badass, man.
I took a temperature of the field, and I felt like that would sell better.
No, it looks badass, man.
Oh, come on, man. You saying I didn't have to use a ruler? Could have picked something else?
Dude, I've not used a ruler.
Oh, come on.
This is why I love drawing Victorian London and Victorian.
Oh, yeah. None of those lines are straight. Those bricks were... There was always just a little bit of a wobble.
Nobody told me. Nobody told me. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. The advice now. All this advice now.
And I don't even do perspective lines and stuff. I just eyeball it
all. Oh, come on. That's not cool.
So, is there? I think we've covered a lot of.
Yeah.
I think we've covered a lot of what goes into like literally making. We didn't cover printers, but like literally, the printers are out there. I use Comics Wellspring. They're freaking awesome.
Yeah.
They literally. But there's Mix'em. There's other printers, and that's probably the biggest difference from about 15 to 20 years ago. Is there's smaller, affordable printers out there, and you slap your PDF onto their site, and the books are in your box at your doorstep in 2 weeks, and it's like it's bam, bam, bam.
Oh, and just some
or your warehouse, depending on the size of your campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
Back that truck up.
We don't all need warehouses quite yet.
Mix'em is starting their own print-on-demand service as well.
Mix'em is?
Yeah, so keep an eye on that one.
Oh, they didn't have print-on-demand before?
No.
Oh, so the Mix'em had a minimum?
No. Well, they must do, yeah.
Okay.
Or rather, they were charging like maybe stupid amount of money.
Okay.
So. That probably.
I do know if you ordered like just a couple of copies or something, it
was through the roof. So yeah, okay.
But like a print-on-demand service for like, I think they're only doing books at the moment, not comics yet, but we'll see. How it goes. I'm always on the lookout for a print-on-demand that's quality.
Yeah.
That's consistent with quality.
Yeah. But there are a number of printers out there, so it's like their options are like there's a ton of options out there for printers, for print on demand, for smaller print runs, where it's still affordable enough where you can make a profit off of the printed book, so to help you actually make the book. So the options out there for printers are much better than they were. I mean, just even 5, 6, 7 years ago. So it's just it's booming.
Yeah, you can Google it or just ask around in Comicsgate or whatever.
Yeah, ask around on Twitter or Facebook or whatever to Comicsgate, and there's plenty of good printers.
And if someone won't tell you what printer they use, then that means they found a really good cheap one.
Yeah, exactly. If they don't want to tell you their printer name, that's the reason why.
They got a local guy who hooks them up.
Like this guy, like he doesn't even know how cheap he's printing shit for.
Well, can you imagine a local guy? So you could go pick up the books instead of having to have them shipped to you. Just what you would save on that.
There's one here where I live, and I'm gonna talk to him probably this summer. But the thing is I haven't done it yet because the printer I've got is so good.
Yeah,
and it's like I got zero complaints. But
I mean,
literally,
the thing that happened with Mixon was they weren't a massive company, weren't huge.
Yeah.
But Comicsgate found them and found they were good.
Yeah.
So everyone started using them, and their company just like grew really quickly.
Yeah.
And I couldn't quite cope with it at first. So
yeah.
I've got a local guy, but so far all he's printed was some color prints for me. So I don't even know if he could do comics.
I'll tell you who to go through, Rob.
No. But I if I was going to do local, that way I could pick the books up.
Yeah, but
it's got to be local.
60, 70, 80 bucks worth of shipping is not gonna crush your.
That's true. Yeah. In the big picture, 80 bucks of shipping is nothing.
No. Yep. But you know what? I think we covered a lot of what we were going to talk about tonight. We had a ton of people in the chat the whole night, which is great. I want to thank everybody that was in the chat tonight. We didn't cover any of the campaigns tonight, but we will next time. Go out and back Jack the Ripper Book 2, which is doing phenomenal. Go out and back Rob's Death Raider, which is in demand and Indiegogo, and is just an awesome, amazing book. And if you can go out and back my book, Superiors, I'd also appreciate it. It is closing out next weekend, next Sunday night. Superiors is closing out, so this is the last week to back it. So it's really good that I didn't cover the campaign tonight, but I probably will sometime this week.
When's it close out, Clint? Are you going to do a show? Or...
Next Sunday night, we'll do something. We're doing something for sure. I'm figuring out all the logistics right now, but yeah, I'll probably try and do a couple of shows throughout the weekend, depending on who I talk to. So,
okay, cool.
But yeah, we'll do a plan and probably be here next Sunday night and closing out Superiors.
I got to make it a big deal, man.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to thank Pete for coming in here tonight and being awake. I'm glad you went to bed early this afternoon.
Yeah.
I
didn't go to bed. I just got fat and middle-aged and ate too much.
Yep. And just that long afternoon nap on the couch. We've all been there. It's a Sunday afternoon. Mm-hmm. Why am I still awake?
Yeah,
I never sleep on the couch. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. No, seriously, I never sleep on the couch.
Yeah. I'll sleep wherever I fall asleep. So, Well, thank you, chat. I think we're gonna wrap it up for the night. Get Pete tucked into bed, and me too. Actually, it's Sunday night. I'm ready to crash. So. Thank you guys for showing up tonight. It was fun. It was fun bullshitting about all this stuff. Hopefully, we passed along some knowledge for running your own campaign. And when you do it, let us know so we can watch whether you succeed or fail.
Oh, we can help.
Oh, yeah, we can help too.
Yeah, we can also help, not just laugh. We can help.
Oh, Rob, you're such a nice guy.
I have to be.
All right, everybody. Hail Comicsgate. And we are out of here and hitting the last button.